Hello, Internet. We are back and we have a report on Diaz. Now, you will remember Diaz. That is a free 1 battalion soldier I found there close to Kimberley, the place called Platfontein. And I found him in, I would say, terrible conditions. Just to recoup for you quickly, Diaz lost both his leg and his arm on the left side of his body in 1985 with an RPG attack on his buffalo. He's been living now in a little shack. I can't really call it a house. It's more like these hop houses. And now he's going blind as well because of old age. He's 68 years old now. He's got cataracts and things in his eyes. I just couldn't walk away from that. In fact, I made the video. I drove away. I stopped next to the road. I had to wipe off a few tears. I just couldn't believe that a veteran, a man who fought for his country that hard, can be left in such circumstances. And sadly, there are many, many thousands of those, but I'm fully aware I can't save them all. I can't, but where we can help, we will help. And so what happened is I approached our legacy chaplain, Colonel Andre Olivier, to assist me because of the legal reasons. We needed the money to go into a trust account that is going into the account of Johan Botha, who's a rekenmeester, a very smart man, great guy, former officer of the army as well. And then I had this committee of colonels with Colonel Andre Olivier, and they would look at it. But these people are very busy, you know. Some of these colonels became very, very top business people. And so he said to me after a week or two, he said, "Chris, I just can't do that." And I thought to myself, well, I know one fellow who can do it. The nicest sergeant major of the special forces I know, that I know many. He's grinning here on the other side. The one and only S.W. Fourie. You'll remember he wrote that fantastic book about his 10 years in special forces. And in the meantime, I found out a lot more things about him because we did an episode on Ops Amazon in the background where his former team leader, Colonel Frans van Dyk, who was a warrant officer at that stage, I believe. He was actually the team leader of SWA on that day, as well as James Tytge of RSM. And they were telling me all sorts of stories about this fellow, which you can listen to later. He's still grinning in the background. If you hear a noise, that is Bobby the papagaai, or whatever he is. African grey, he's still there around. SWA is there with Verena. And SWA, thank you for taking the time and doing this for us. Can you tell me first, after we approached you to take over to help Diaz to form your committee, can you tell me who did you involve in this committee of yours? Who's the other members?
Okay, I can start with the guys in Kimberley. That's Hans Low. I quiz. I internet. Yeah, the guys in Kimberley. That is where Diaz is. Is Pastor Ngonga. Then it is Herman White. Sweet, Herman, forgive me, that surname I can't pronounce. Let me see, I've written it in a Swigart. Herman White Swigart. And then there's a Herman Lombard, he's in Bloemfontein. And then there is a Dr. Frans Kleinhans, he's also in Bloemfontein. And then it's Mornay Rousseau, he's an ops medic. Currently, he's moral support, he's the guy that prays for us. He's currently in Guinea. He just came back, so he can't really get that much involved. I think I've mentioned everybody. Yes, it's the two Hermans. It's the Dr. Frans Kleinhans, Pastor Ngonga, Mornay, and myself. Yeah, I forgot myself. Okay, so we started and we tried to prioritize what's first and what's last. He's in a wheelchair, can't see, can't walk, no water, no toilet facilities, a roof that's leaking, no power. So he's basically off the grid, not by choice. He's without water for more than a year. Okay. So then we started prioritize. We started on the one side exercise for his eyes, and we followed 3 routes. One of them was just the only time they can help us is end of December. The problem that we have is Kimberley itself is fully booked. They can only help him maybe next year, October. Then we tried Worcester, and then eventually Hans came up with an idea of a doctor in Petersburg. Now that's a small place somewhere close to Bloemfontein. And fortunately for us, blessing, Dr. Frans Kleinhaus know this doctor as well. I'm not going to mention the other doctor's name. So coming Monday morning, they're going to, Hans and the pastor and Diaz will visit the doctor. By then, Dr. Frans Kleinhaus have prepared him. And then from that doctor, he will be referred to a specialist. Now, that's a very short route due to contacts that we have. And then the good news, I'm going to send you the video, because we opened up his water yesterday. And he was sitting in the wheelchair with the house pipe that's running all over. So now there's water in the house. So that's a big start with us. Then we're going to start with the roof first. We first want to see, do we have to replace sunplata, whatever that is in English. And if not, we will seal it. There's a new method of sealing it. And then we're going to start inside. We're going to take everything out of the house. We're going to clean the walls because there were fire inside, not fire, congas, charcoal, and it's black. It's black. So we're going to high pressure clean inside. Then we're going to paint it. Simultaneously, by then the roof will be sealed. Then there's we're going to have a what do you call it, sewage system, French drain. Okay, we're looking at a tank for that. Then we're going to add ablution facilities. That will be a shower and a toilet. And we're going to add a gas stove for him. And then a very small solar panel to have him basic right. The moment he can see, and that process, these things are running simultaneously. The moment he can see, we'll give him a phone, and then he can start handling his own matters, and we can speak to him. Herman, also Herman with the funny surname, he's the guy that connected the water. Him and his team run everything, connected it, and then Herman also showed us the seeds that's going to be planted there. So he's going to start his small garden there as well. As far as the prosthesis, what do you call that in English? Anyway, Dr. Frans Kleinhaus actually went and visited Diaz, and he took measurements, and he came back and he told us, we have 2 options. The silicone option is a very expensive option. You have to import that from overseas, and you're looking at 200,000 plus. And then there's the conventional method, which will last longer, less maintenance, and not that much physiotherapist that's involved. So from Dr. Frans, he's an orthoped. He's going to do this for us. So that's going to, and now our long-term goal is, and Diaz were really laughing this morning when I spoke to him, we want him to climb on a bicycle and ride bicycle. And I told him, when my kids were small, the bicycle have that small wheels on the side that will keep him up straight. Yeah, so he said, well, the moment he can see again, he will then climb on a bicycle. So that is a big step forward for us. So yeah, there's a lot of things happening in the beginning, a little bit of finding our feet there. But now, yeah, Monday is the eye specialist, Dr. Frans Kleinhaus. He was on a tour, I think, with Japanese Senlingberg, dink ek. dis wat Dr. Frans ook betrokke is. Verskom my dokter as ek nie reg is nie, maar ek het so iets gehoor. And then you're going to start the process for Diaz to be mobile again. Our first priority with house is the roof, and then the shower and the toilet facilities.
Yeah, thank you. I think this is a great feedback. We will put the video in here as well. I have to thank every one of you. I have to thank every single one of you who contributed here. I know we raised an enormous amount of money in my eyes. You know, we're quite poor people. I think almost 50,000 rands, close to 50,000 came in.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, we're a little bit over 50,000. There was another guy that sent me email this morning. He also contributed. Sorry, I can't remember his name. I'll look on the phone now.
Yeah, we want to thank all of you. We know who you are, and we know exactly how much you gave as well. Thank you for that. Look, if you guys want to contribute more, we're welcome, because as you know, we're going to need it, and we have to carry on here. It's not cheap, these eye surgery, even if we're trying to do it on a way which is, of course, the cheapest way possible. But we're talking about what, 15,000 rands for
Yeah.
per eye.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not a medical expert, but I think they're going to only do one eye at a time, starting with his dominant eye, which is the right eye, and then I think a week later the other eye. By then we can give him a phone, and then his son have to teach him how to use a cell phone. Just for interest sake, I think I did mention it because he was without water for more than a year. So I think he couldn't see the water, but he could hear it and he could smell it, because if you look at that Northern Cape, it's a dry country.
Yeah, it must be fantastic to have these small things coming in. I know that Herman and Bloemfontein anyway told me they're going to paint the place as well. You guys have to remember something. It's flipping cold in Kimberley in the winter. So what happens is when you don't have heat and you don't have proper bedding and things like that, you know, you make a fire inside the place, and besides that, you still have to eat. There's no kitchen there. It's like a bare. There's nothing there. But I think a lot of people donated. We're really grateful for that. And now I have to ask you, of course, the strict question here is there. And the first one will be, is there was any of this money which people donated, was 1 cent of that given to Legacy or myself?
No, not at all. Not at all. Thanks to Legacy, this humanitaire oefening with Diaz have started. Yeah, so thanks Legacy for that. And each of the guys all the money is in Johan Botha. That's the accountant. I've met him personally, had a long chat with him, and he's doing it as a favor for us. He's a very busy guy. He's got a lot of clients, and he said it goes in a trust, and then each and every cent that needs to be spent will be an invoice. And of course, there's a lot of homework before that to get it cheapest, to see if we can get a little bit of a sponsor, especially the tanks we want to put up there. Yeah, no, nothing was, each and every cent will go back to Diaz.
Okay, you were mentioning to me something about tanks, which you're looking for people to donate or to sponsor. What do you mean with that? Is it these big JoJo things to catch rainwater?
Yeah. One is going to be, that's more Herman that was involved with that. Herman in Kimberley. One will be for reservoir for water itself. So that will pump out of that. We will water the garden, and then the other tank will be for a septic tank. How exactly that will work, I'm not sure. Herman is more the expert on that. But so that's the 2 tanks that we are looking at.
Okay, now if people have any ideas, of course, they can always contact us and we'll put it through to you or contact you directly. I was asked a question actually here, and it's something more that Hans Lowe can answer. And I know that Hans Lowe is actually a Special Forces member himself. Great man. Really like Hans Lowe. is all these improvements we are making to Diaz's life and to his house. One of the legacy viewers asked me, and she was very concerned when she asked it. She said to me, are we not making him a target that, you know, the rest of his people can perhaps get jealous and then, you know, attack him because he's receiving all this help? I should ask Hans this actually, but I'm sure you know the answer too. Is Diaz all right? Is he safe where he is now?
Yes. There is two different tribes, but there's not conflict between them. It's a normal policy. If you work with one tribe, you go down the channel. And I spoke to Pastor Ngonga this morning, and I said, listen, Diaz is just our first member we're working on. We're planning a very big operation. One of them is of Prof. Walter, organic gardening, where you live out of the nature and nature supply your compost and everything. That we want to launch there, and he's very happy about that. He said, we're looking forward that you can start that, so we can start our own vegetable gardens and eventually provide other people and place in Kimberley as well, where they can actually sell their product. So yeah, so Diaz is just the beginning of a much bigger project that we're going to have there.
Well, that's what I like to hear, you know. It is like legacy. When you and me first started, I remember we had to wait until your children were sleeping, and then we had to basically steal the internet because we needed it, and I had to run for the bus now and then because we were speaking till midnight. Yeah, it was the beginning of a lot of things, wasn't it, Esbeth? And
yeah,
I was also
yeah, legacy opened more than just a channel for old soldiers to tell their story. What is interesting, that stories will never now be lost. And a lot of that stories would have been lost if it wasn't for legacy. And like I explained to you, the next phase that we must look at, but that's another discussion. But legacy, I think, is just opening doors for a lot of things that's going to happen. Specifically with old army guys and families, not only families as well. Yeah, so but that's a different topic, a different day.
Yeah, so we will end here and say to you, happy birthday. It was last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, somewhere last week. Yeah, that it was a busy day. I was invited all over. I had to cancel some of the invitations, but it was a beautiful day.
Can I ask you to quickly, there might be some people who haven't seen your videos, and if you haven't, please go to the Special Forces playlist or podcast. You'll find a lot of SWF for there. SWF, what gift did you get at your 21st birthday? What happened?
Oh, yes. It was one of the most successful operations of one recce. We blowed up 25 tanks, fuel tanks, and it was actually on the 9th. We infiltrated on the 9th, did our thing there, and as we exfiltrated, it was 10th of August. And we were still lying, I'm not sure how far from the harbor, because these tanks started to explode, and some of that fumes and things were running into the harbor. And that was chaos, I believe, in the harbor itself. And we were still on the water, and we could see the most beautiful Guy Fawkes that you can ever imagine. And that was my 21st birthday. And there's a photo somewhere where we were opening champagne, 2 bottles of champagne. I actually smuggled it in and had it there. Yeah. So that was my 21st birthday, and it was a very nice present.
No, it's fantastic. We will put that picture here. I know about it. I asked Frans van Dijk, he said he had no idea about that coming out until it came out. I asked the Navy commanders, Admiral Suderland, who was on one of the ships, not yours. I think Commander Rennie was where you were. And the Navy said, well, they had no clue about that as well, and they would not have joined into the toast. But if they did, it would be a good thing.
Yeah, I
so
remember. But then, yeah, it was full throttle with they had 4 engines, I think. Most beautiful sound if they open up, and they decided, now let's get the hell out of here. There's too many Guy Fawkes around us here.
probably our last question about that, and obviously those videos are gonna come out of Amazon, but were you people aware that you were surrounded there at the back where you were under that big 76mm gun, that there were tons and tons of ammunition and shells for that cannon right around you all the time?
Not really. We were sleeping, they emptied their sleeping quarters right under the 76mm cannon. So that's where we were parked. And then you were allowed to shower for 1 minute. So that process of taking seawater, convert it into fresh water, and then where I was sleeping, there was like a clock, and every morning 6 o'clock it will ring and it would say, wakey, wakey, rise and shine. And then I decided that this thing is going to drive me back. So I took it apart, and then early one morning, we weren't aware of it. They opened up with that 76mm cannon right on top of us, and it's like it was sucked in and sucked out the cabin underneath it. It was unbelievable. Yeah, and it is interesting that the strike craft, it was Israeli strike craft. It was built for their kind of sea conditions, not for ours. So we called it a kotskoets because, yeah, that first day, every second day you have to go and fetch the food, and then first you have to go through the ops room. I remember it was green screens. When you come out on the other side, you just as green as that screen. And that day you don't eat. Yeah, so that was it. It was an interesting time. And then just before we launched, they would say darken ship, and they've got like a lid surround windows. They would put a lid into that window, then it's completely dark, and then inside it's a soft green light, so your eyes start getting used to the dark, and then you would climb off, and then meanwhile the guys from 4 Recce would launch the ski boats, 2 per strike craft, and then we'll come alongside the strike craft, and then you will have to pace yourself because it goes like this, up and down. Then the strike craft is here, and the next moment it's gone. So if you miss there, you're gone. And then already on the striker would be all the explosive or limpets or whatever you're going to use.
Yeah, no, this is all in your book as far as I know. Great book. You guys have to go and read it. Just one last question on that trip there. Did you know that James Tytger, your mate James Tytger, later the RSM, that he was trying to murder you people there when he was actually driving the ship? That the Navy allowed him to steer the ship, and that's when the thing really started to go like most dreadfully.
I only heard it afterwards. He was he was the coxswain on a strike craft.
Yeah, no, he did confess in the coming videos. Leslie, thank you so much, man. Thank you for the work you're doing here for Diaz. It is God's work. I want to urge all of you people again, if you can donate something, man, it doesn't need to be money. If you have an extra or whatever you have there and you don't need it and you think these guys can actually benefit by it, please donate. And, even a prayer will work as well. These people really need spiritual guidance as well. And I'm glad that Pastor Ngonga was also on the show. He was the sergeant of 3-1 Battalion. And he's a pastor now, and he's taking care of his people there. Thank you for all of that. Any last words, Esvia, from your side?
No, it's not. We will update you after. Okay, Monday morning, it's just going to be diagnosed. You have to get referred. So you first have to go to a doctor, and then that doctor will refer him to a specialist. And I think that's going to be a very short span when he's going to go for his eyes. Yeah, so we will update you as that happens.
Right, thank you. And then thank you to Rina also, who borrowed the phone to you. I'm telling
Yeah.
you, Zoom tried to work us from behind here, but we got this video out. Thanks so much. And thank you for your team as well. We are grateful, and then we hear from you in the future again and see what happens.
Yes, blessings there, Chris. Yeah, we will update you as things roll out.